In this video, I'll be talking about 36 of the greatest single-player games that everyone should play at least once. This list is based on my personal choices, so if I missed any of your favorites, feel free to let me know in the comments. Now, let's dive into the first game on our list. Mad Max. The Mad Max movies may not have been great, some were actually terrible, but this game is surprisingly good. It's a love letter to the Mad Max universe, and you can tell a lot of passion went into creating it. Now, it's not going to win any awards for dialogue or storytelling, but it also won't put you to sleep. The game mechanics are easy to grasp, and both Max and the vehicles handle smoothly. As you progress, you unlock plenty of upgrades for both Max and his car. There's a lot to do in the wasteland, and it keeps you engaged without feeling like you're grinding through objectives. I never felt bored or like I was just pushing through to get things done. The game gives you plenty of freedom to get sidetracked. Combat on foot is fun, and driving vehicles into other cars or enemies is even better. The visuals are incredible and hold up really well even today. The sound design is also top-notch. Overall, I'd give this game an 8/10. If you like post-apocalyptic settings or the Mad Max movies, you'll enjoy this game. Just don't expect a hardcore survival experience. It's more of a fun, action-packed ride that doesn't aim for hyper-realism. This game is a hidden gem among open-world titles, and I can't believe it's still so underrated. If you ever get the chance to play it, definitely do. It's totally worth it, a must-play for fans of the films, post-apocalyptic settings, or open-world games. It captures the atmosphere of the Mad Max movies perfectly, with stunning landscapes and thrilling vehicular combat. Sleeping Dogs. After putting in 46 hours of gameplay and achieving 100% completion, I can confidently say this game is pure gold. Some people dismiss Sleeping Dogs as just a Grand Theft Auto knockoff, but honestly, it doesn't need to be a GTA killer to be fun and exciting. The story is captivating, full of thrilling twists and turns, keeping you hooked from start to finish. The game is set in an open-world version of Hong Kong based on the real-life city, and it does a fantastic job of capturing its vibe. The driving system is decent cars, motorbikes, and boats all handle fine. Nothing groundbreaking, but nothing disappointing either. However, what really sets Sleeping Dogs apart is its combat system. The hand-to-hand fighting mechanics are easy to learn and incredibly fun, offering a unique experience compared to other open-world games. While there are firearms in the game, the emphasis is more on melee combat, and I think that was a smart choice. It gives the game a distinct flavor. The graphics are stunning, especially if you download the free high-resolution texture pack from Steam, which makes the game even more beautiful. On top of the main story, the game has a ton of side quests, collectibles, and mini-games to keep you entertained. You can visit vehicle and clothing stores, food markets, and even karaoke bars. There are parkour tracks to navigate, and the city feels alive with all the activities you can engage in. Overall, I'd say Sleeping Dogs is an absolute must-play. It's got an incredible mix of story, action, and a beautifully crafted world that's just begging to be explored. Don't sleep on this one, go for it. A Plague Tale. Both A Plague Tale: Innocence and A Plague Tale: Requiem are incredible, character-driven experiences with stunning stories and top-tier voice acting. These games deliver an amazing narrative, accompanied by beautiful graphics, heavenly music, and some of the best character writing I've seen, second only to Red Dead 2 in my opinion. One of the great things about A Plague Tale is that you can choose how to approach the gameplay. You can fully immerse yourself in the story by avoiding unnecessary killing or take a more aggressive route if you prefer. While some sections offer different paths, for the most part you'll be solving puzzles, crafting ammo like in Horizon Zero Dawn, and dealing with enemies in various ways. However, combat isn't the primary focus, it's more about stealth and storytelling. Often you'll be using a rock to headshot enemies, but the game provides you with a few other tools along the way to help you manage threats. Though there are combat elements, the real heart of the game is its story and stealth mechanics. I was captivated from beginning to end, and if you're into narrative-heavy games, I highly recommend giving this one a try. Metro Exodus. Metro Exodus delivers an outstanding linear experience that kept me hooked for about 15 hours, and I enjoyed every moment of it. There's so much to love about this game, from its incredible soundtrack to its stunning graphics. All of it contributes to an extremely immersive experience. The absence of a traditional HUD enhances the immersion even more, making me feel like I was truly in the world without relying on visual aids. The world design is so well crafted that I didn't even need to check the compass to navigate most of the time. Although I didn't often read the mission descriptions, I did glance at the map a few times during the open sections. The map design is brilliant. You can tell that every glowing green plant and light source was placed with care. One of the best features of Metro Exodus is the freedom in how you approach gameplay. You can choose to stealth through almost every section or go in guns blazing, depending on the difficulty and your playstyle. Overall, this game is an immersive masterpiece, combining tight world design and engaging gameplay for a truly memorable experience. Beyond Two Souls. Beyond Two Souls is an underrated and often overlooked masterpiece that was released 11 years ago. It's a very solid game, and I never really understood the bad reputation it seems to have. Personally, I enjoyed it quite a bit, but maybe that's because I had a better understanding of what to expect, having played other Quantic Dream games like Omicron, Fahrenheit, and Heavy Rain beforehand. I've noticed that the people who complain about the game's original non-linear story structure are often the same ones who dislike movies like Memento or Pulp Fiction because they don't follow a traditional linear timeline. For me, the unique storytelling and emotional depth of Beyond Two Souls make it a standout experience.
The test is over. You need to...
Firewatch. This game is a piece of art in its own right, but like all art, it might not be for everyone. Firewatch revolves around story and dialogue with a bit of exploration thrown in. That also means there isn't much action. The focus is firmly on the atmosphere and the characters. You play as a character with a troubled past, seeking escape, and you meet a woman with a similarly complicated background. Together, you navigate a world that seems to be on the brink of collapse while reflecting on what you've seen, done, and experienced in your past.
Excuse me?
People take this job to get away from something.
If you're not the type who needs to shoot everything that moves and can enjoy a leisurely stroll through beautiful landscapes, engaging in meaningful conversations, and experiencing a different kind of story, then this game is for you. It's a relaxed yet captivating experience that will leave a lasting impression. What Remains of Edith Finch. What Remains of Edith Finch is an emotional journey where you, the player, control a character named Edith. Armed with a key to her childhood home, she uncovers the hidden secrets of her family's past. As Edith delves deeper into the Finch house, she discovers the tragic yet poetic deaths of her relatives, her grandfather, great aunts and uncles, and even her own brother. She learns things that her own mother kept hidden from her. This game is both beautiful and disturbing, as many of the deaths are narrated by the victims themselves. It's your job as the player to act out how each family member met their end, experiencing their final moments through their eyes. What Remains of Edith Finch is not meant to be fast-paced or action-packed. It's more of a reflective, at-your-own-pace experience. It's often compared to Gone Home, and you don't need to be skilled at video games to enjoy it. All you really need to do is walk around, interact with objects, and occasionally use an attack button during a flashback. Even if you've never played a video game before, find a way to experience this one. It's absolutely worth it.
I can already imagine the sun on my face.
Mafia Definitive Edition. I never got the chance to play the original Mafia 1, but I did play Mafia 2 and consider myself a big fan of the series. This remake really caught me by surprise. The amount of love and passion that went into it is insane. The cutscenes are top notch, and while they replaced some of the original actors like Tommy's, I feel the new cast fits the theme even better. It felt like I was playing a video game version of The Godfather. The story follows Tommy Angelo, a cab driver barely making ends meet who gets pulled into the criminal underworld when two mafiosos force him at gunpoint to be their getaway driver after a botched heist. Tommy's skills behind the wheel save the day, and from there, his life changes forever.
Bone in their bodies.
Also, whoever modeled the cars in this game is a real artist. They are absolutely gorgeous. I give this game a perfect score 10 out of 10. Everything about it is amazing, from the great story and music to the deep and varied gameplay. Hats off to the incredible team that brought this masterpiece to life.
Use my trust.
Don Salieri, you won't ever need to worry about me.
The Last of Us. The Last of Us is an absolute masterpiece. Visually stunning, with lush post-apocalyptic landscapes that will make your jaw drop, the attention to detail is insane. From the infected zombies to the overgrown environments, everything feels meticulously crafted. And let's not forget the sound design. Those infected screams will send shivers down your spine. I first played this game on the PlayStation 3, and I was blown away. It was more than just a game, it was an experience. This title should definitely go down in the history books as one of the greatest games of all time, and even today, people are still talking about it. The game offers everything you could want: an incredible story filled with emotion and tension as you fight and survive through a broken world. It's not just another shooter or fighter game, it's a game where every move you make has a ripple effect. Back on the PS3, the graphics were breathtaking, showcasing the best that console could achieve, but when you switch to the PS5, the level of detail and visual power is stunning, bringing an already great game to even greater heights. The Last of Us is a true survival game. It's not about taking the easy route. Rationing supplies and making strategic decisions on when to use certain weapons is key to your survival. Combat is intense, allowing you to use almost anything you can get your hands on, from bricks and steel pipes to good old-fashioned gunfire. This game is a must-play, a game that redefined the genre and set the bar for storytelling and immersion. The Walking Dead Telltale. The Walking Dead is a story-driven adventure that feels more like an interactive narrative than a traditional game, but it hooked me from the very first minute. There's not a lot of gameplay, you mostly walk around, talk to people, and occasionally make choices, but I loved every part of it. Some people argue that the choices you make don't actually matter, and while they're not entirely wrong, they're not right either. Your choices may not drastically alter the ending, but they do change how the story unfolds. The game focuses more on shaping your character. Will you be a respectable person or a complete jerk? The choice is yours. In The Walking Dead, it's all about the journey, not the destination.
We're doing it.
The graphics are unique, making you feel like you're part of the original comics universe. One of the smartest moves by the developers was creating their own storyline rather than simply adapting the comics. This isn't just a retelling, it's a parallel story with its own plot, characters, and emotional weight. The references to the comic books are subtle and never feel like forced fan service. Overall, The Walking Dead is a simple yet highly enjoyable story-driven, point-and-click experience. It masterfully blends humor and drama into an interactive story that will stick with you. Turn the lights off, play it alone or with someone, and debate over the choices you made or the ones you should have made. Days Gone. Please don't let the low review scores dissuade you. Days Gone is absolutely worth playing. While the opening act might not grab you right away, once you've upgraded your bike and character stats a few times, the game becomes much more fun and rewarding. The story starts off intentionally bleak, but I wouldn't say it's overly depressing. Without spoiling anything, your character acts the way he does for a reason, and that allows for growth and change by the end of the story. It's not a huge dramatic shift, but it's enough to feel satisfying. In terms of gameplay, Days Gone is one of those games where you get out what you put in. Yes, the mission structure is pretty basic. You can approach every enemy encampment like a standard cover shooter or deal with hordes the same way each time. But if you start making creative use of the many gadgets and weapons at your disposal, along with environmental traps both natural and man-made, you can funnel, flank, and trap your enemies in all kinds of interesting ways. The game gives you a bunch of tools and it's up to you to combine them creatively to accomplish your objectives. There's a lot of variety to explore, but it really depends on whether you choose to think outside the box. The graphics and world design are outstanding, making the game's setting feel incredibly immersive. I really hope they reconsider making a sequel because Days Gone is such an amazing experience.
Do that. We'll see what we can do for you. Dig, bro. And I know what kind of man he is.
Until Dawn. Until Dawn is a 2015 interactive drama horror game that's incredibly addictive. Once I started, I couldn't put it down until I finished my first playthrough. For a relatively early PS4 title, the game looks great, especially the character models, which are very well done. The gameplay is light but enjoyable, and the acting, which is crucial given the large amount of dialogue, is solid. Where this game really shines is in its choice-based story progression. Your choices have real, immediate impacts, unlike in many other choice-driven games. This element of control makes you empathize with the characters much more than you might otherwise. The death scenes are ridiculously gory, with jaws being snapped off, several decapitations, and plenty of dead bodies and blood, but it all ties into the narrative. The story feels integral to the game, rather than just something tacked on. I love the inclusion of totems that give the player hints, and the way each character has their own personality. You get to play as each one, and their relationships with others can change based on the decisions you make. The butterfly effect is executed brilliantly, not just as some gimmick but as a core mechanic that impacts the game in meaningful ways. Overall, Until Dawn is an excellent game and well worth playing. It's also highly replayable, whether you're aiming for all the endings, trophies, or hunting for clues you missed the first time around. Life is Strange. Life is Strange is an episodic adventure game and truly a work of art. This graphic adventure unfolds like a masterpiece with some of the most impactful voice acting I've ever experienced. It makes everything feel so real. The soundtrack is soothing and blends beautifully with the story, enhancing the emotional depth of the game. Every action and decision the player makes has consequences, and nothing is left out. The choices you make ripple throughout the story, leaving a lasting impact on how the narrative unfolds. The experience is unforgettable, and it will likely change the way you think after completing the game.
Oregon gets about 5 tornadoes every 20 years.
The game's visuals are unique, with an art style that feels hand-drawn, offering a fresh approach to storytelling. The plot is powerful, striking the player with such intensity that it requires time to reflect on its development. It's full of originality, and there's always a sense that things are not quite what they seem, keeping you engaged and guessing throughout. Overall, Life is Strange is an emotional and thought-provoking experience that's well worth playing.
I know I'm not dreaming this. I hope I did everything right this time.
The Wolf Among Us.
All right, everyone.
The Wolf Among Us is an episodic neon noir mystery drama adventure game developed by Telltale Games. If you're a fan of mysteries, violence, noir fiction, and detective stories with an atmospheric edge, this game is for you. While it doesn't offer much in terms of gameplay, it's a fairly simple point-and-click detective game. The visual design is absolutely stunning. It features the best comic-style cell shading I've seen in a game so far. The story takes a gritty and mature approach to fairy tale characters who have escaped into our world and are secretly living among us. You play as Bigby Wolf, the big bad wolf himself, now reformed and trying to maintain order in the hidden world of Fabletown. In the first episode, you find yourself embroiled in a murder mystery that soon spirals into something much bigger. Overall, The Wolf Among Us is an engaging, mature tale with a beautifully stylized world, and it's definitely worth experiencing. Spec Ops: The Line. It's been 13 years since Spec Ops: The Line was released, and it still lingers in my mind from time to time. We'll likely never see another game like this, especially when it comes to the story, which holds up remarkably well. Spec Ops: The Line is a third-person shooter set in a post-apocalyptic Dubai. You play as Captain Martin Walker, leading a Delta Force team into the city to search for Colonel John Conrad and his missing battalion, who were sent to evacuate civilians after a catastrophic sandstorm. As Walker progresses, he faces intense moral dilemmas, questioning his mission, his sanity, and the consequences of his actions. The game explores heavy themes such as morality, the psychological effects of war, and the blurred lines between heroism and villainy. While the third-person shooter mechanics are solid, and the graphics were decent for the time, the heart of this game is its story, and man, it hits like a freight train if you're not prepared for it. The narrative is relentless, depressing, and unflinchingly raw, diving deep into the horrors of war in the Middle East from the perspective of both soldiers and civilians in ways no other game has, and likely never will again. Throughout the game, you're forced to make some incredibly difficult, often disturbing choices, which only adds to the emotional weight of the experience. It's an underrated masterpiece that delivers a unique and unforgettable story. At first, I didn't enjoy it, mostly because it was confusing, but as I pushed through, the story unfolded and it became clear just how special this game is. This is a game that stays with you long after you finished it. I'll be thinking about Spec Ops: The Line for years to come. I really hope it becomes more accessible in the future because everyone needs to experience it at least once. It's a 20 out of 10 for me, truly incredible, though I can't say I'd play it again, yet I can't recommend it enough. Shadow of the Tomb Raider. Now, hear me out, everyone should have played at least one Tomb Raider game in their life, but today we're talking about the reboot trilogy, specifically Shadow of the Tomb Raider. While the first two games in the trilogy are great, I've seen a lot of people criticize Shadow for its story, but honestly I loved it. Shadow of the Tomb Raider is a big improvement over Rise of the Tomb Raider, with more tombs to explore and a stronger focus on exploration, exactly what a Tomb Raider game should be about. This game goes for a more isolated classic Tomb Raider experience. While it doesn't quite capture the atmosphere of the originals, it still feels more like Tomb Raider and less like Uncharted, which is a welcome change. The combat feels more fleshed out and the stealth mechanics are massively improved. Lara really goes full Rambo in this game. It's so satisfying to stealth kill enemies from a grassy wall and then quickly pop out to take down others with headshots. I also feel that Shadow has the strongest characterization of the trilogy, especially in the touching moments between Lara and Jonah. Their friendship feels so genuine and pure.
But everything I love now is in it.
Visually, Shadow of the Tomb Raider is hands down the most impressive of the three. The environments are absolutely jaw-dropping, and it's the closest any of the recent games have come to capturing the feel of the old-school Tomb Raider titles. While the puzzles could have been more challenging, it's nice to see more of them this time around, and the game doesn't force you into gunfights every 10 minutes. Sure, there's legitimate criticism, some say there's a lack of innovation, and it does share a lot of the same gameplay mechanics as its predecessors, but the developers deserve credit for not turning this into just another third-person shooter. Here's hoping that future Tomb Raider games will continue in this direction, but with even better gameplay elements and an improved overall design. Just Cause 3. Just Cause 3 is an incredible game. It's like GTA set on a stunning Mediterranean island with unbelievable movement mechanics and loads of destruction. The gameplay is pure fun, and there's a ton of content to dive into. For a game released in 2015, the visuals are still really impressive, and the map is both diverse and colorful, featuring everything from mountains and seas to beautiful fields, forests, and cities of various sizes. The movement mechanics are what really set Just Cause 3 apart. Whether you're using your grapple hook, grenades, cars, or the awesome weaponized Bavarian wingsuit from the DLC, the destruction is wild. You can tear down trees, creatures, cars, and chaos objects related to the Dictator, and it never gets old. The game also offers enjoyable challenges, which are essentially mini games within Just Cause 3. Collecting all the videotapes unlocks an overpowered helicopter, perfect for clearing bases. Car races unlock new vehicles and boosts. Wingsuit challenges upgrade your movement abilities, and grappling challenges make your gadgets so powerful that you can take down entire outposts without even firing a gun. Now, the story isn't really the reason people play Just Cause 3, the plot is a bit weak, and even the developers admitted that it's more of a sandbox game. The story just serves to give players ideas on what they can do. The Just Cause series has always been about wild, creative gameplay, with features like the grappling hook, parachute, and the wingsuit introduced in this game offering a new level of freedom and chaos. One of the best aspects of Just Cause 3 is the map. It's huge in size and designed perfectly for messing around, whether you're riding down a mountain in a boat or doing something equally crazy and fun. The map's blend of oceans and mountains makes it an ideal playground for experimentation and chaos. The Order 1886. Although The Order 1886 faced undue negative press before launch, largely due to claims that it was only 5 hours long, this is not quite accurate for a standard playthrough. That time estimate is more reflective of an early speedrun. Unfortunately, this bad press hurt the game's initial sales, most likely eliminating the chance for a sequel. But The Order 1886 is far from a bad game, especially now that it's often available at a heavy discount. This highly cinematic third-person adventure is set in a unique alternate history, blending Arthurian legend with steampunk elements. The gameplay is streamlined and the game is very linear, with no multiplayer, which might turn some players off due to its limited replay value. However, it's clear that all resources were focused on creating a richly detailed universe and achieving superb visual fidelity, especially considering how early in the PS4's life cycle it was released. The core gameplay consists of third-person combat, light exploration, quick-time events, and mini-game mechanics like lockpicking. Despite being nearly a decade old, The Order 1886 still looks better than many games today. I played it back when it launched on the PS4 and again on the PS5, and it still amazes me how this game manages to look so stunning. The film grain, depth of field, lens scratches, and soft focus give it a cinematic look that hasn't been replicated by any other game. If you're looking for deep gameplay, a long campaign, or an open interactive world, you may be disappointed. However, if you're after a cinematic action experience with top-tier graphics, excellent world building, and a compelling story, there's a lot to enjoy here. It's a shame the negative press hurt this game so much, as it also robbed us of what could have been an incredible sequel. With the groundwork already laid, a follow-up could have addressed the criticisms and expanded on everything the first game got right. For those who enjoyed The Order 1886, it's hard not to imagine what could have been if the pre-launch controversy hadn't spread like wildfire. I highly recommend giving this game a fair chance and exploring its fascinating universe, one we may never get to visit again. Quantum Break. I'm really surprised that Quantum Break didn't make a bigger splash when it came out. Remedy is an amazing developer and this game had a lot going for it. The time travel story is actually coherent and interesting, with tragic characters and plenty of twists that kept me far more hooked than I expected. The gameplay is simple but incredibly fun and satisfying, making you feel like you're in a movie. The TV show component is surprisingly well done and well acted, better than a lot of TV shows today. However, I'm not sure I liked how the show was pushed in between the levels.
Before you're dead.
Now, for the downside, the platforming sections, they were clunky with floaty controls that didn't feel good, there wasn't much skill involved, and I'm not sure why they were even included. Rarely did I have to use my brain to figure anything out, and the game missed an opportunity to integrate some complex time-based puzzles, which would have been a perfect fit. Overall, Quantum Break is a really solid game that I wish more people got to experience. It's not perfect, but it's more polished and filled with passion than 80% of the games as a service content we get nowadays. Plus, it tried something really unique by blending a TV show with the game. It wasn't a perfect fit, but I give them credit for trying something different. If you haven't checked it out yet, give it a try. God of War Ragnarok. The expectations for God of War Ragnarok were sky high, almost impossible to reach, especially since God of War 2018 is considered one of the greatest games of all time. Sequels often fall short, but Ragnarok took the series to new heights and exceeded those expectations. The story, graphics, gameplay mechanics, dialogue, character development, music, and plot twists all combined to make this the best God of War game to date. Even the small touches, like the developer's sense of humor shining through in clever dialogues between characters, add to the experience in ways we didn't even know we needed. I 100% recommend this game to every gamer. Even if you just watch the story parts without playing, you'll still find it captivating. It's like watching a movie. The side quests don't feel like side content either. They enhance the characters and their backstories in such a brilliant way that you actually enjoy completing them. I also love how they gave other characters the spotlight they deserved, making the world feel richer and more alive. To truly appreciate God of War Ragnarok, you need to experience both God of War 2018 and Ragnarok for a once-in-a-lifetime experience. This game brings everything full circle, creating a familiar yet refreshing journey for fans of the series. Spider-Man 2. Spider-Man 2 is seriously amazing. If you've already played Spider-Man 2018 and Miles Morales, you've got to dive into this one. It's an absolute must. Insomniac knocks it out of the park with this sequel. The story is on a whole other level compared to the first two games. It's way more over the top and wild, but still packed with emotional moments. The character development for both heroes and villains is top-notch, and the story left me feeling completely satisfied. The side missions deserve praise too. Both Peter and Miles have big side story arcs, and they're both gripping and compelling. Peter's side adventure even got me hyped for a future DLC or a tease for the next game. Graphically, this game is insane. The ray tracing options are mind-blowing, and the city feels more alive than ever, with NPCs doing all sorts of things like playing tennis on rooftops. Insomniac really outdid themselves this time. The combat is super fun, too simpler than before, but way more action-packed with all the new abilities. They throw more enemies at you, but the new abilities help with crowd control. Streamlining the gadgets was a smart move, although I do miss some of the gadgets from the first game. The only minor downside for me is still playing as MJ. It's not my favorite, but it's more bearable this time around. Overall, Spider-Man 2 is a fantastic game. Insomniac has delivered another hit, and it's an absolute must-play for any Spider-Man fan. Uncharted Legacy of Thieves Collection. The Uncharted Legacy of Thieves collection includes two incredible games, Uncharted 4: A Thief's End and Uncharted Lost Legacy. Both are masterpieces, and with this remaster, you can experience them in native 4K on the PS5. While the graphical jump isn't as significant as what we saw with The Last of Us Remaster, it still offers higher textures and true 4K support, which enhances the already stunning visuals. In my opinion, Uncharted 4 is undoubtedly the best game in the series, not just because of the superior graphics, but also due to the story and gameplay. I might be biased since this was the first game I played in the series, but having also completed the second and third games, while impressive for their time on the PS3, they don't rival Uncharted 4. Most importantly, I had the most fun playing this game hands down. The addition of the alert indicator for enemies and the ability to mark them makes stealth a much more viable and enjoyable option, and pulling off stealth moves is incredibly satisfying. The guns feel much better compared to previous games, and the controls are smooth and intuitive. The story is both thrilling and heartfelt, with characters that feel real and are incredibly likable. The pacing is excellent, balancing exploration, climbing, and enemy encounters perfectly. The puzzles, while simple, are fun, and the set pieces are epic but still grounded in reality. Some sequences truly make you feel like you're playing a high-quality action-adventure film from beginning to end. Overall, Uncharted Legacy of Thieves collection is an absolute joy to play, and I would highly recommend it to anyone who loves adventure games. Onward and upward. Yakuza Like a Dragon: Infinite Wealth. I can say with full confidence that this is a quality Yakuza entry and one of the better ones overall. RGG has refined the combat and gameplay from the previous entry on so many levels, addressing nearly every one of my complaints. I personally enjoyed my time with this game immensely. It's hard to believe I could enjoy Yakuza in turn-based form, but it has genuinely surprised me in the best way. The new setting of Hawaii is visually stunning, and it's a fresh location to explore. However, I wasn't the biggest fan of hearing NPCs speak English while exploring the island. It felt a bit uncanny. It was odd to play this franchise in a foreign land where the main protagonist and his party almost never speak the local language. Additionally, the way some Japanese-speaking characters use entirely different voice actors for their occasional English lines threw me off.
This hoodlum wanted money, and she pointed her gun right at me.
The class system adds a lot of variety and allows for impressive builds, letting you customize your team to suit your playstyle, and I had a lot of fun experimenting with it. The story was solid overall, but the game heavily relies on callbacks and references to previous Yakuza games, so it's not recommended as your first entry into the franchise. There's even a whole mechanic dedicated to memories of previous games, which is great for longtime fans and full of fan service that I welcome. For a turn-based game, RGG managed to create an enjoyable experience. They took another shot at it after Like a Dragon and fixed many of its shortcomings and design flaws. I absolutely love this game for that. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Final Fantasy VII Remake sets the stage for uncharted territory, paving the way for its successor, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Rebirth wastes no time diving into fresh waters while still retaining key elements from the original. It promises a wealth of twists and turns, appealing to both new players and longtime fans of the series. In terms of gameplay, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth offers a significantly expanded experience, blending turn-based action with open-world exploration on a grand scale. The game is packed with a multitude of side activities waiting to be discovered. Guiding Cloud and company through this vibrant and often humorous adventure opens up endless possibilities. While some may feel hesitant about the changes to the original storyline, others will find Rebirth's approach to the remake a breath of fresh air. Whether you're looking for a visually stunning world to immerse yourself in or craving a new and engaging combat system, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth stands out as one of the top choices among PS5 games. Alan Wake 2. Alan Wake 2 is the sequel we needed but didn't deserve. This game is more than just a game, it's a brilliant experience, and I encourage all gamers to dive into this masterpiece. It's brilliantly crafted with fantastic artwork, a great story, and top-tier presentation. Throughout my playthrough, it blew me away time and again. Sure, there will always be people who like to hate, but don't dismiss Alan Wake 2 for being original or different from what you're used to. As a lifelong gamer, I can safely say that games with this level of quality are rare. If you're more into open world sandbox games, that's fine, but if you love story-driven titles with an incredible narrative, rich atmosphere, mystery, and even some scares, then this game is a must-play. It's clear that the developers at Remedy poured their passion into this project, and you can feel Sam Lake's deep connection to the Alan Wake universe throughout the game. The attention to detail is remarkable, and there are some great nods to Lake's Finnish heritage, as well as fantastic Max Payne Easter eggs, with James McCaffrey voicing both Max Payne and Alex Casey from Alan Wake 2. This game was made with care, love, and meticulous attention to detail, and I would highly recommend it to anyone looking for a unique and immersive experience.
There's something I'm forgetting. Something important.
The Witcher 3. The next-gen update for The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt was fantastic, and it's still one of the best open-world RPGs ever made. The main story pulls you in and keeps you engaged the whole way through, but the side quests are just as compelling. I highly recommend that anyone playing The Witcher for the first time not skip the side quests. Some of them have a huge impact on the ending, and they're well worth your time. The open world is breathtaking, with each region offering a distinct setting from the eerie swamps of Velen to the snowy hills of Skellige. The game provides numerous choices throughout, making you really feel like you're shaping the story and world around you.
Go away, or I'll kill you.
And just when you think the main story couldn't get any better, there are 2 massive DLC expansions to dive into, continuing Geralt of Rivia's journey. My personal favorite is Blood and Wine, which adds even more depth to an already rich experience. Overall, I'd recommend The Witcher 3 to just about anyone. It's a masterpiece in storytelling, world building, and role playing.
Let me finish telling it.
The infamous Second Son. Infamous Second Son is an absolute blast no matter which path you choose, hero or villain. Released back in 2014, it's impressive how well it still holds up with its stunning graphics and engaging gameplay. But what really sets this game apart is its emotional depth. It's a roller coaster of emotion, with moments of comedy, action, friendship, and betrayal all woven together seamlessly. This game delivers the ultimate power fantasy, allowing you to unleash your wildest abilities and wreak havoc on your enemies. Want to take down oppressive government agents with scalding smoke? You got it. How about zipping around the city at the speed of light? Yep, that's on the table too. And let's not forget the epic swordplay. Pulling a sword out of a freaking TV and going full explosive is nothing short of amazing. Now, I'll be honest, the concrete power may not be the most thrilling option compared to the others. While each power has its own strengths and super attacks that pack a serious punch, concrete gets overshadowed toward the end of the game. But despite that, the range of powers in this game is strong and versatile, offering endless possibilities for creative gameplay. And let's face it, there's something undeniably satisfying about unleashing devastating super attacks and watching your enemies crumble before you. Prototype. Just to be clear, I'm only talking about the first Prototype game. It's an open world title, and if you're wondering why it's on this list, it's simply because of the main character's superpowers. Even if you're not in the mood for an open world game, I suggest you don't skip this one. Despite being single player, Prototype delivers an all-out, amazing experience. The powers in this game are unlike anything I've seen before. You can transform your hands into a variety of destructive weapons, and the main character, Alex Mercer, is straight up awesome. If you find games like Spider-Man and Infamous a bit boring, you might want to skip this, but for those who love chaotic fun, Prototype is a blast. One of the best things about the game is that you're a superhuman, so getting from point A to point B doesn't take long at all. The main story is compelling too. Alex Mercer starts as a normal human but gains his powers through a scientific experiment gone wrong. It's an underrated game that not enough people know about. The major highlights of Prototype are the cool powers, the engaging storyline, and the sheer amount of fun you can have just free roaming the city. This game lets you feel like the most powerful being around, and the freedom it gives you is unmatched. Honestly, Prototype deserves a remaster more than a sequel. Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance. Boredom is a word that will never come to mind while playing Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance. This game perfectly combines all the essential elements, providing players with an unforgettable experience. I honestly think many players don't know about this hidden gem, or maybe the original fans of the Metal Gear series didn't take to it, because it's a standalone spin-off which differs from the usual Metal Gear formula. This hack and slash title is an over-the-top, thrilling experience that blends fast-paced combat with an awesome soundtrack. While there isn't much of a storyline, the focus is on adrenaline-pumping action, where your primary goal is to slice through enemies literally. The difficulty is well balanced, except for the final boss, who can be a real challenge due to a massive health bar in multiple phases. When I first played this game, I was blown away by how much fun it was. Despite being different from the main Metal Gear series, Rising is not directly connected to the original Metal Gear games, but it's still a fantastic experience. Even though it was released in 2013, it holds up well in 2024, with impressive visuals and killer soundtracks. You don't need to know anything about the previous Metal Gear games to enjoy Revengeance, which makes it a great choice if you're short on time and just want a fast, fun hack and slash adventure. The difficulty level keeps the game engaging, pushing you to complete it even after multiple deaths. The cutscenes and visuals are also top-notch. Unfortunately, we never got a sequel to this game, possibly because Hideo Kojima was busy with other projects at the time. Still, Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance is an underrated gem that deserves your attention. Devil May Cry 5. The Devil May Cry series is something no one could ever call boring. Dante, the main character, brings so much fun to the game with his awesome dialogues alone. My favorite elements in Devil May Cry 5 are the cutscenes and the fights, especially when Dante rides his motorcycle into battle. Hack and slash is a genre that anyone can enjoy, whether it's your favorite or not, because who doesn't love slaying hordes of creatures with cool, stylish combat? If you haven't tried the Devil May Cry series yet, why not give it a go? Almost all the installments are great, each with their own pros and cons. I chose DMC5 for this list because of its significant graphical and visual improvements. Don't get me wrong, I don't play Devil May Cry for its storylines. The main story is more of a basic plot to keep you engaged, but it's the gameplay and cutscenes that make this franchise truly memorable.
You're dead.
Who's your favorite character from the series? For me, one of the standout moments is the final fight between Virgil and Dante in DMC5, an absolute feast for the eyes. It's been years since the first game, and the series has only gained more popularity over time. If you're still on the fence about whether to play these games, take this as your sign to grab a copy and dive in. The best part? You don't need to play the series in chronological order. I played the fourth game first, then the third, and finally DMC5, and I still had an insane blast without feeling like I missed anything. Control. Control is one of the best games I've ever played. After finishing the Dead Space remake, I was looking for something similar and stumbled upon this game on Game Pass. I loaded it up fully expecting to dismiss it quickly, but I was immediately sucked into its bizarre and humorous world. Meeting the janitor and being made director within the first 10 minutes before being thrown into the mysterious oldest house with its floating inhabitants and his enemies was incredibly addictive. If you immerse yourself in the world, collecting and reading all the documents that offer insight into the Federal Bureau of Control FBC, it doesn't feel like a chore. Instead, it paints an intriguing and often humorous picture of this strange universe. The combat, enemy difficulty, and skill progression are perfectly matched, evolving as you acquire new abilities and weapons throughout the game. Remedy Entertainment has a knack for crafting immersive experiences, and Control is no exception. I'm always excited to play whatever Remedy creates, and that includes Control 2, which was announced back in 2022. If you're into supernatural, mind-bending action adventures, Control is an absolute must-play. Max Payne 3. Replaying Max Payne 3 after 12 years, I can confidently say it's better than most games out there today. The gunplay is incredibly tight, the story is hands down one of the best, and the voice acting is impeccable. I don't have a single complaint about this game, it's a solid 11 out of 10. This game should have set the standard for the industry in terms of mechanics, writing, acting, and overall quality. You can feel the love and dedication from everyone involved in its creation. I highly recommend this game to anyone who loves a dark noir anti-hero story or a solid third-person shooter. Max Payne 3 is a game made with passion, not driven by heavy-handed messaging or being out of touch with the gaming community. If you haven't played Max Payne 3, you're seriously missing out. It's one of the greatest games I've ever played. After recently finishing the entire campaign, I can confidently say that Max Payne 3 has the best shooting mechanics in any third-person shooter. The gameplay is brutal and incredibly satisfying, especially when you take down that final enemy in a shootout. In my opinion, Max Payne 3 is one of the best third-person shooters ever made, and it still holds up today. Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. I absolutely love Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. Whether you're a hardcore Star Wars fan or new to the franchise, this game is a must-play. It's a fantastic adventure and combat game, similar to the Dark Souls series, but with its own unique Star Wars twist. The storyline is incredible and leaves so much potential for future exploration, honestly. It feels like it could lead to a Disney series about Cal's master. The game really immerses you in the path of the Jedi, helping you connect deeply with the characters we love, like Kenobi. It's a great Star Wars experience and has completely restored my faith in Star Wars games from EA. In some ways, Fallen Order reminds me of Zelda. It's like Zelda on steroids, but with a lightsaber. And BD1, absolutely adorable. I'd love to have one in real life. It's like having a cute little companion, almost like a pet in the game. Overall, Jedi Fallen Order is brilliant. For any Star Wars fan, this game is a must-buy. I give it a solid 10 out of 10. You'll thoroughly enjoy it.
Struggle. What's the choice to keep fighting?
BioShock Infinite. I've been fortunate enough to play the BioShock games as they were released and to revisit them at different stages in my life. Each time I've replayed the series, I've gained a deeper appreciation for these FPS classics. Over the years, I've come to the conclusion that BioShock Infinite isn't just the best game in the series, it's possibly one of the greatest first-person shooters of all time. Infinite is vastly different from the previous two titles, especially in its setting. If it weren't for the name, players might not even realize it belonged to the same series. Despite the shift from an underwater city to a floating city in the clouds, Infinite still captures that signature BioShock feel. While the visuals are the most obvious change, Infinite is also much more action-oriented than the first two games, which leaned heavily into horror and survival horror, especially on higher difficulties. That's not to say Infinite doesn't have its scary moments, it absolutely does. There are more than a few instances that will make you jump, but there's always the sense that you'll eventually emerge into the bright, wide-open city of Columbia. This was a stark contrast to the first two games, where you knew you'd never escape the dreary dead city of Rapture. Infinite also excels in its storytelling, even though some critics initially found the narrative convoluted. I understand that quantum physics and the concept of existing across multiple planes of existence can be overwhelming for some. However, for those with a basic understanding of how the multiverse works, Infinite is a wonder to behold as the story gradually unfolds. As long as you're paying attention, the direction of the plot shouldn't come as a huge surprise. The combat is also a massive improvement over the first two games. Guns feel much more accurate, with the sniper rifle and hand cannon becoming my go-to weapons throughout most of the game. The plasmids, now known as Vigors, offer plenty of variety, allowing players to tailor their combat style however they like. There isn't much I can say about BioShock Infinite that hasn't already been said 100 times, but my latest playthrough really stuck with me and reminded me just how truly amazing this game is. Wolfenstein: The New Order. After playing and beating Wolfenstein: The New Order for a second time, I can confidently say that while the gunplay takes some effort to master, the perk system really makes up for it. The mechanics of the perk system allow you to unlock different perks depending on your playstyle, and I absolutely love that aspect of the game. I also appreciate the addition of multiple timelines, which showcases how events and characters change between the two. This adds a layer of depth to the storytelling, offering more replayability and giving players a fresh perspective based on the choices they make. The only real issue I have with the game is the ammo. While I understand the scarcity of ammo fits with the setting, having a bit more ammo for some of the guns would have been nice. That aside, I find the game fantastic overall. The storyline is well crafted and keeps you engaged throughout.
Berlin. Come in, Berlin. What's your status? We're a bad shape, Captain.
One of the most intriguing aspects of the gameplay is how tough the Nazi soldiers are. They're hard to kill and deal brutal damage even when you're fully armored, which deteriorates quickly. Taking cover can be a challenge due to the relentless grenades, and the enemies just keep walking and shooting mercilessly at you. Despite these challenges, Wolfenstein: The New Order delivers a thrilling, fast-paced experience that's both satisfying and intense. Detroit: Become Human.
What are you waiting for? Chase it!
Detroit Become Human is a thoughtful, inspiring, and at times terrifying game that can trigger an existential crisis in anyone who plays it. It's one of the richest gaming experiences I've had, and I cannot recommend it enough. The world depicted in the game feels like the most realistic portrayal of the coming decades that I've ever seen in any media. As I played, a million questions popped into my head, from the new technologies I was observing to how society had restructured to accommodate these changes. The game does an incredible job of showing us what the world might look like as humanity improves and adopts AI. It's a fascinating and sometimes unsettling vision of the future. From my initial impressions, I could tell that this was going to be a profound and intricately detailed game. This was my first Quantic Dream title, and after playing some of their other games, I can confidently say that the studio is filled with passionate people who put great care into telling compelling stories with interesting premises. I absolutely love Detroit Become Human, and I think everyone should give it a try. It's a game that leaves a lasting impact. Well everyone, that's all for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please be sure to leave a like, and I'll see you in the next one. Have a great day ahead.
Yeah, I'll let that scumbag. I'm pissing myself over here.